You know how in my Blade Runner 2049 review I mentioned that I hadn't seen the original Blade Runner prior to seeing the sequel? Well, seeing as I feel like I need to review more iconic and classic films anyway, let's review the original Blade Runner. Hi, I'm Danny Quinn, and I'm back in front of the green screen for a special episode of First Impressions. On today's episode, I travel back to 1982 to tackle Ridley Scott's cult classic Blade Runner, to see if it's really the masterpiece that people say it is. This movie's set in Los Angeles in the year 2019, where replicants, which are robots that are uncannily similar to humans, but are in many ways superior to them, have been created by the Tyrell Corporation. They are outlawed on Earth, and any remaining replicants are hunted down and retired by Blade Runners. And the movie largely centres on former Blade Runner Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, who's brought back into the fold to track down and retire 4 replicants on the loose in Los Angeles. The original Blade Runner was one of those films that came out around the same time that E.T. was dominating the box office. And with it being very polarising at the time, and I'm pretty sure a lot of audiences were probably put off by its misleading marketing campaign, which sold it more as an action movie, even though this movie has very little action in it, it kind of got lost in the shuffle at the time. But it really found its following on home video, especially with all the different cuts available. I'll discuss more on them in an upcoming video, but for now, I'm just talking about the film itself. Before I start the video, I do want to let you know that this will be, for the most part, spoiler-free. So if you haven't seen the original Blade Runner yet, don't worry. I'll try to keep things as spoiler-free as possible. So with that out of the way, let's get going. So Blade Runner is pretty much one of the most influential movies of all time. It's widely regarded as director Ridley Scott's masterpiece, and many movies of wildly varying quality have been influenced by its visual aesthetics and its themes of artificial intelligence since then. But it's one of those movies that really requires multiple viewings. I first watched the movie recently in its theatrical form. I liked it at the time, but didn't quite love it. I then watched the director's cut, and I found it to be a bit of an improvement, but I still found the experience a bit of a cold one. But as the week went on, I began to think more and more about the film, and the more I thought about it, the more it started to grow on me. And then, just before I started writing the script for this video, I watched the final cut of the film, and that's where the film really began to stick in my mind as a classic. Visually, it's probably one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. The only other competition is probably the original Alien or Dario Argento's Suspiria. It's a beautiful film with dazzling cinematography and some of the best shots that have ever been put on film, and it's probably one of Scott's most visually impressive movies. It's all the more remarkable considering that this movie was made before CGI was even an option for most movies, and the visual effects really have stood the test of time. I like the film's portrayal of the future, although I'm not quite as head over heels about it as I probably should be. We're near the year 2019, we still don't have flying cars yet, and also many films have borrowed from this film over the years, but it's still a very interesting portrayal of the future. Even though technology has become more advanced, it's a very dark and dystopic future where the climate has gone to complete shit. And it still feels eerily plausible that this is a world that we could possibly face living in if we don't get our act together. I also really love Vangelis' score. I think most people do. It's such a beautiful but also equally chilling piece of music. The use of synthesizers really add a cold and tingly tone to the movie and really help to give it its atmosphere, while the use of booming percussion really makes the movie feel very creepy in places. And there's also some nice jazzy tracks with a lot of saxophone and tender melodies that really add to the film noir vibe that this movie is going for. And this movie really does feel like a film noir, with its themes, its characters, its music, and especially its use of lighting. And Scott's direction throughout the film is brilliant. It's very meticulously crafted with a strong attention to detail, and when watching the film you really feel like you're watching someone at work, like a master of their craft. His directing has this very cold and detached feel to it, but it's also surprisingly spooky and creepy in places as well, particularly in the final stretches of the film where it can feel surprisingly scary and unsettling, almost like something out of a haunted house movie. The performances overall are excellent. Harrison Ford does a very good job in the lead role of Deckard. He does sound a little tired and bored in certain places, but even then that actually works in the movie's favour because Deckard is supposed to be this tired and worn out detective who's long past his prime, and Ford does a very good job in the part. Sean Young is good as Rachel, this replicant that he falls in love with, and the rest of the cast all do a solid job too. But the highlight of the cast is easily Rutger Hauer as Roy Batty. He's absolutely fantastic in the role. Hauer just has this very commanding presence whenever he's on screen, and the character himself is easily my favourite in the film. Batty is just a very compelling character, and his arc throughout the movie is really interesting. However, that's also to the movie's detriment because he does kind of overshadow the main character of the movie, Deckard, and it's really unfortunate that he doesn't have that much screen time in the film. Hell, I think the replicants in general are a little underutilized too. Again, because the story is told largely from Deckard's point of view, It's understandable the replicants probably do take a backseat to him, but they're very compelling and there's not that many scenes where they're actually working together or interacting. It would have been interesting to see more scenes with them working together, sort of like a parallel storyline to Deckard's own investigation. The other main flaw I have with the film is the romance subplot between Deckard and Rachel. It just does nothing for me. Young and Ford just don't have that much chemistry together, and the romance scenes between them just feel forced and awkward. But aside from that, I do think Blade Runner is a great film. A flawed one, yes, but still a very powerful and compelling film and holds up very well. It's beautifully shot and put together with much skill, and the visual effects really do stand the test of time. The acting is outstanding, the writing is solid, and the film's themes are explored with a lot of depth and nuance that works very well. So after all this time and after much deliberation, I finally decided that I'm gonna give Blade Runner a 9 out of 10. I definitely recommend seeing it. If you're a fan of science fiction or you're interested in science fiction but you haven't seen Blade Runner, definitely check it out. Do be aware though, it's a very slow-paced film and it's very light on action. So have you seen Blade Runner yet? If so, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with reviews for The Snowman, as well as a spoiler video on Blade Runner 2049. But in the meantime, feel free to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. If there's anything I can do to improve my presentation, let me know. I can also be found via Facebook, Twitter, email, and Instagram. And until next time, I'm Danny Quinn. I hope you have a pleasant evening.